Hello to all my wonderful subscribers, devout disciples, welcome. This is your Master GongSun. We will continue with the WenZi, understanding the mysteries, further teachings of LaoZi. I'm using the copy by Thomas Cleary, the translated version, so feel free to follow along. Chapter 28, LaoZi said, "Words have a source, works have a basis. If you lose the source and the basis, even your skills are many, it is better to speak little. What harms the people is craft, so if the clever have their fingers cut off, that shows it is not well to exercise great craft. Therefore, masters act by knowledge, not by talent. They are guarded according to the time, without consciousness of being guarded. So whatever is deliberately closed is eventually opened." Now that might be a bit. Therefore, masters or any realized person, any Zenren, may act by knowledge, but not by talent. They are well guarded without consciousness of being guarded. Whatever is deliberately closed is eventually opened. So don't try too hard, of course, and don't forget that there is a reason for everything, right? Words have a source, right? Think about your situation right now, where you find yourself, be it good or bad, right? I mean, a lot of us are in our present situation because of the circumstances into which we were born, right? Some of us were born rich, some poor, and because of that, right, that's our origin. But in Taoism, luckily, our fate, even though has a certain likelihood of happening, it is not necessarily set in stone. So if you know your fate, and this is where Taoist divination comes in, and some of you may have heard of Ba Zi, the 8 characters, or using the Yi Jing, the Book of Changes, Qi Men Dun Jia, the Book of Escaping the Gate. Yeah, that's a very mysterious book. I will probably cover them much later on, but yeah, there's too much to talk about in Taoism, so I gotta take it one step at a time. But essentially, you use these books of divination to know your fate, your destiny. I mean, to know what is likely to be your destiny if you continue along this path. What is a likely trajectory? But it's not set in stone, and that's what's so great, because we have something, and I've shown you guys before. But we have the heavens, the Tian or the Qian, the divine Yang, right? We have the divine Yin, the earth, who is our mother, right? And then we have man or human in the middle, right? And it's not that our destinies have already been decided for us, right? But sometimes you can change it, right? And sometimes you can't. So it really depends on the particulars of your situation, right? And that can be calculated using your birthday and according to astrology too. So, and that's a whole other thing. That's beyond the scope of this video. But my point is, knowing your likely destiny, you can change it if you want to, right? Everything has a source, and that source may or may not lead to what you want, but you could definitely try to change it, depending on what it is, right? I know I'm not being very specific or concrete here, but that's because we're talking about divination here. We're talking about fate analysis. It's like Min Yun, Swan Ming in Mandarin, right? But I will do a series about all that, right? Sooner or later. Bear with me here. One step at a time, right? Remember, in the Tao Te Ching, Laozi said the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step, right? That is definitely from the Tao Te Ching. Alright, this has been your Master GongSun. As usual, keep living in alignment with the Tao.